flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. Hey, my name is Tristan, and I'm in second grade, and I asked my teacher to show me an experiment where water curves. She couldn't do it because it doesn't curve. The water always finds a water.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. Couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. I'm a flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. Because it doesn't curve, the water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right, welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B, and of course, Just Jack Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Welcome to episode 99.
99. Good Lord, that's a lot of episodes.
That is a lot of
All right.
episodes.
So this was a bit of a longer chapter that we're going to get into, and there's actually two different discussions going on there, two different subjects going on there. So I think I found a good stopping place about 2/3 of the way into the chapter, but we may just cut through the end, and you'll see a lot of highlights on the right side with my notes because I have not yet translated those verses, but I think it'll be simple enough for us to go through. So I'm just going to read my disclaimer, just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you believe that if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religion contradicts the scriptures. There we go. All right. So last week, I think we hit a little bit on the Passover being celebrated and the condition where if you can't make the Passover because you're like really far away on a trip, or if somebody happens to die around you and you miss Passover, you can still keep it exactly a month later on the second month on the 14th day. And the other thing that, we can see that they're still in the desert. They're not recognizing the renewed moon according to Israel. They're looking at the new moon according to where they are. So if they see a new moon, they're not going to say, oh, we don't see it because we're not in Israel. There are people who believe that it should be done that way. I've actually had somebody correct my daughter because the lady asked her, what is that in the sky? And she's like, that's the new moon. And she says, no, that's not the new moon. You don't see it. Excuse me. 1 second. You don't see it because it wasn't spotted in Israel. And I was like, no, you're not going to teach my daughter to lie to herself. And this was my older daughter, Hannah, who's now married, and and she was about Shemaiah's age, so it was a long time ago. But yeah, there's a lot of people that do not care to observe anything in nature to declare the calendar. There are people who have a lot of pre-calculated mathematical calendars, and they ignore the physical attributes of nature, showing you, hey, this is the spring, hey, this is the fall, and it causes a lot of turmoil within the community of Torah believers. So just to let all y'all know, my calendar is based strictly and only on the Torah calendar, not based on any other input from other writings or other philosophies. I'll put it that way. And then the cloud covering of the tabernacle, every time that the cloud moved or the pillar of fire moved, they would pack up the camp and move along with it. And that's very important to be, you have to be flexible to move when Yah wants you to move is the point of that, I think. There's a lot of times where we've followed a cloud here, followed a fire there, not literally, but just being moved by whatever the spirit leads. Okay, so chapter 10, I'm just gonna go through it quickly, or you could just read it and then I could pause you if anything jumps out, but I think it's not anything that we need to get into too deep. So if you don't mind reading it, it's only 36 verses.
Okay.
It's not a short chapter, but it's not really, it's about the way that the camps moved out. So in the last verse, we were reading about how they would move out due to the moving of the pillar of the fire. And this is where it describes how they would move out. So feel free to read chapter 10 whenever you're ready.
Okay. And Yehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Make 2 silver trumpets for yourself, make them of beaten work, and you shall use them for the gathering of the congregation and for breaking camp.
All right.
And when they blow...
Hold on.
Okay.
Beaten work. Okay. Nothing. Sorry.
Okay.
I was looking. That's the problem with me doing it without translating it. I'm like, wait, is that word? Oh, no, it's not that word.
Okay. And when they blow both of them, all the congregation shall meet before you at the door of the tent of appointment.
So you're calling them in with these horns. Yeah.
And if they blow one, then the leaders, the heads of the thousands of Israel, shall gather to you. And when you blow a shout, the camps that lie on the east side shall depart. And when you blow a shout the second time, the camps that lie on the south side shall depart. They blow a shout for them to depart. That's a little confusing. They blow a shout.
So there's these different trumpet blasts, right?
Yeah.
So the first one is blow one. Sorry. When they blow both of them, and if they only blow one, and when you blow a shout, and then when you blow a shout a second time.
Right.
And so when you blow a shout a second time, the camps that lie on the south side shall depart. They blow a shout for them to depart. So you have the east side with a shout, and then
yeah, but the part that confuses me is that last part where there's a dash and it says they blow a shout for them to depart.
So it's summarizing these two verses together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And when the assembly is to be assembled, you blow, but do not shout.
Okay, so what is this blow and what is this shout? Right?
Uh-huh.
So this is like, so 1 second. Sorry, I'm having a thing today with my throat. Anyway, one's long and one's short. Right. So let's see if we can find out quickly the difference between a shout and a blow. Thrust is blow, and the shout is an alarm. So thrust seems like it's a short blow, and then this seems like a long, like you're it's an alarm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying blow is just a quick one and shout is a long one.
Okay. And the sons of Aharon, the priests, blow with the trumpets, and it shall be to you for Allah forever throughout your generations.
Okay, so only the sons of Aaron are allowed to do this. Again, this is the tribe of the Levites, the family of Aaron.
And when you go...
So they're a priesthood, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And when you go into battle in your land against the enemy that distresses you, then you shall shout with the trumpets. You shall be remembered before Yehovah your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies.
So you're going into battle and you blow these trumpets and it calls on Yah to work on your behalf in these wars.
And in the day of your gladness, and in your appointed times, and at the beginning of your new moons, you shall blow the trumpets over your ascending offerings, and over your slaughterings of peace offerings, and they shall be a remembrance for you before your Elohim. I am Yehovah your Elohim.
So these are blows. So these are short blows. So like when you have a new moon, to let everybody know the new moon's been spotted. This is the new month. You would go, bah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. So these are short blasts rather than, like that. So this in 2 weeks time, on the morrow after the Sabbath, in 2 weeks time, is the day of Teruah, which is the blasting of trumpets, which neither one of these are the word Teruah, but it's the noise making of the trumpet or shouting, like even with your voice, Teruah.
Mm. All right.
That's in 2 weeks and 1 day, folks, according to the Torah calendar. So if you see the new moon, the next morning, that day is Teruah. It's noise making day. So, all right,
All right.
10:11.
And it came to be on the 20th day of the second new moon in the second year that the cloud was taken up from above the dwelling place of the witness. And the children of Israel departed, setting out from the wilderness of Sinai, and the cloud dwelt on it in the wilderness of Paran.
Okay, so they've been at Sinai from the time of assumed Shavuot around the 50th day from when they left Egypt, and then they stayed there for an entire year, and then this is the second month of the new year on the 20th day. So the people who were missing Passover due to somebody dying in their midst, they had enough time to keep the Passover and unleavened bread the second month, and then they left Sinai.
Okay. Thus they departed the first time according to the mouth of Jehovah by the hand of Moshe.
Okay, so this is where a lot of people get confused when they're reading Torah. It's like, this is obviously a different departure, because in chapter 9 it says that they departed, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the mouth of Jehovah they camped, at the mouth of Jehovah they departed. So this is two different departs. No, it's not. It's just they give an overarching statement, and then they give you details about that statement.
Mm-hmm.
So the end of chapter 9 is saying, at the prompting of Yah, they would leave. And then chapter 10 gives you distinct descriptions of how they would know it's time to move on. These are the camps at the east side. These are the camps at the south side, and they go in order. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
all right. So now they're in the wilderness of Paran.
And the banner of the camp of the children of Yehudah departed first according to their divisions, and over their army was Nahshon, son of Aminadab.
Nachshon.
Nahshon.
Yep. So the standard is that which stands. Okay, the banner. So this would be like the camp would follow a flag, a pole, so that they knew, okay, the camp is moving this way, and you would follow that for Yehuda. All right.
And over the army of the tribe of the children of Yissaschar was Netanel, son of Suar.
Right. Nathanael. Right. So Yissaschar is in King James version Yissachar, I believe. Yeah, Issachar in King James version, just for people who don't know what is Yissachar.
Okay.
And this is the same as Nathaniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nathanael. Sometimes it's Nathaniel, but this is Nathanael.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And army is actually just a collective under a leader. So it could be a workforce, it could be a tribe. This is like actually describing the group of the tribe, right? So army does not necessarily mean those who are going to war, because the women and children didn't get left behind as they moved on to the next location. This is also the same word in Yehovah Tzevaot, aka Lord of Hosts. It means Yehovah over those who are under him as the lead. So, all right. 16.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
And over the army of the tribe of the children of Zebulun was Eliav, son of Helon.
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 Yeah, and as Zebulon. And then yeah, so again, this is where it's like a census, a very meticulous, record keeping of their leaving.
All right. And the dwelling place was taken down, and the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari departed, bearing the dwelling place.
Okay.
And the banner of the camp of Reuben departed according to their divisions, and over their army was Elitzur, son of Shedaiah.
Very good. Shedaiah. Yeah.
And over the army of the tribe of the children of Shimon was Shalumiel, son of Surishadai.
Yep.
God, these
Shaddai.
words are crazy.
Like, have you ever heard of El Shaddai?
Yeah.
El Shaddai?
Right.
Yeah, this is Suri Shaddai. So, like this one, Shalumiel, this is the same as it's close to Samuel,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like there's different variations. Like if you read the Torah of these names, and then you go to like the history books, like Kings and Chronicles and stuff like that, the names become shorter and easier to pronounce. Like they started using nicknames, right? They started shortening the names. Like for instance, Joshua is Yehoshua, and then in the later books, he's just called Yeshua. Let's shorten it. So
Right. And over the army of the tribe of the children of God was Elisaph, the son of Deuel.
right. Yep. The children of God.
Right.
And as we've gotten into quite a bit, God was named after a deity of fortune called God. Yeah. God is the prosperity deity by name.
And the
It has nothing to do with the creator, just for people in the audience.
Right.
All right.
And the Kahatites departed, bearing the set apart objects, while the dwelling place was set up before they came.
Yeah, so these distinctive families carry specific objects. Well, these people carry the set apart place, the tent. These people carry the objects that are in it. These people carry the altar. These people carry the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's a well orchestrated moving. So now we're in Ephraim.
And the banner of the camp of the children of Ephraim departed according to their divisions, and over their army was Elishama, son of Amihud.
Yep.
And over the army of the tribe of the children of Manasseh.
Menashe. Yeah. Menashe. Yes.
Okay. And Gamliel, son of Padatsur.
Yep. And Menashe is called Manasseh in King James Version.
Okay. And over the army of the tribe of the children of Benjamin was Avidan, son of Gidoni.
Very good.
And
it seems like the more you read these, the faster you get and clearer you get with them.
It's hard though, man. It ain't easy. Then the banner of the camp of the children of Dan, which was, or is that Dawn? Children of Dawn,
yeah.
Which formed their rear guard of all the camps, departed according to their divisions, and over their army was Ahiezer, son of Amishadai.
Very good. Yeah, this is people, mine, Shaddai.
Huh. And over the army of the tribe of the children of Asher was Pagiel, the son of
Pagiel. Yeah.
Pagiel, the son of Okron. And over the army of the tribe of the children of Naphtali was Ahira, the son of Anan. Such was the order of setting out of the children of Israel according to their divisions when they departed.
Very important stuff, all this stuff. I'm just joking. Like,
Well, they felt it important enough to
yeah,
document it for whatever reason.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there are those
There
who
must be
believe that
something to it.
when the coming of the Messiah or the return of the Messiah, that all these instructions are going to be reestablished. So, like, you're going to have to find out what tribe you're from, and then you're going to have to find out what's your job, when you're supposed to move, and all this stuff. I don't think that there's going to be a moving tabernacle in the reset of all, but who knows? Maybe there will be.
Um, and Moshe said to Hovab, the son of Reuel and Midianite, Moshe's father-in-law, "We are setting out for the place of which Jehovah said, I give it to you. Come with us. We shall do good to you, and for Jehovah has spoken good concerning Israel."
Okay, so there's a question here. Hold on. All right.
Come with us,
So
and we shall
so it
do good to you.
says the son of Reu, the Midianite father-in-law of Joseph, also known as Yitro,
Mm-hmm.
and brother-in-law of Moses. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it gets confusing here. Why is he not called Yitro? And why is he using his brother-in-law's name? His brother-in-law would be his siblings brother, right? So no, his sibling spouse or something like that. Right? So it gets confusing here because when I ran across this, I'm like, who is Hobab or Hovav when it's supposed to be Yitro? So that's something for people to like go down that rabbit hole and look at, because there's also I was having this discussion with a friend of mine. There's this contention of the Moshe's siblings being upset that he married a Cushite. That was not, so how many wives did Moshe have? I mean, it's very interesting when you go down this rabbit hole. Like, I think for sure he had more than one wife after this investigation. And I don't know how many he had, because this is looking like yet another father-in-law.
Well,
They
because
just assume
it
that it's
says,
Yitro.
well, you said in the definition it says brother-in-law, but in this verse it says father-in-law.
Right.
So that is
Like, in other
confusing.
words, this is saying that this name
Mm-hmm.
is used by his father-in-law and his brother-in-law. In other words, there's two
Oh,
different
and
dudes
also known as
named
Jethro
Hovav.
and
Yeah.
brother-in-law of Moses.
Yeah. So that is confusing. Like, it seems like he's his father-in-law and his brother-in-law at all one person, but no, that's not what that's saying. But for sure,
That's
I would
weird.
say it's a possibility that this is yet another Midianite other than Yitro. Like, maybe Yitro's brother or something like that. Like
Hmm.
it, and I'm speculating like crazy, folks. Don't take my word for it. Just
Yeah.
like try to go down the rabbit hole and see who is related to Moshe as far as his wife, as far as his father-in-laws. It's very interesting.
Hmm.
But I think for sure I can, like, I can prove, like, with 99% accuracy that he has more than one wife throughout these books.
Okay. And he replied to him, I am not going, but I am going to my own land and to my relatives.
So he's telling his father-in-law, whoever it is, stay with us, travel with us, and he's like, no, I'm going home to my own people.
Mm-hmm. Then he said, Please do not leave us, because you know how we are to camp in the wilderness, and you shall be our eyes. And it shall be, when you go with us, then it shall be that whatever good Jehovah does to us, the same we shall do to you.
In other words, you go with us, you're going to get blessed like we are.
So they set out from the mountain of Jehovah on a journey of 3 days, and the ark of the covenant of Jehovah went before them for 3 days' journey to seek out a resting place for them. And the cloud of Jehovah was above them by day when they went out from the camp. And it came to be whenever the ark set out that Moshe said, Rise up, O Jehovah, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you. And when it
Yeah.
and when it
Sorry.
rested, he said, Return, O Jehovah, to the countless thousands of Israel.
All right. So, like I said, it's basically a record of the families and how they went out and who carried what and how they traveled. But this is the chapter that I translated, so just to give you some more to read.
All right. So we're on 11 now.
11.
And it came to be, when the people were as complainers, it was evil in the ears of Jehovah. And Jehovah heard it, and his displeasure burned, and the fire of Jehovah burned among them, and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp.
Yeah, and complaining is no production. They're not producing anything good. They're just complaining. So the anger is twice. Anger as in heat and anger as in nose. So nose flaring, anger, like super mad. And then consuming of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same. And then it says consume as in eating. Eat them like he didn't eat them in the camp, but they were consumed.
Right.
At the cutoff of the camp. So these people were whining and complaining, and Yah wasn't having it.
And the people cried out to Moshe, and Moshe prayed to Jehovah, and the fire died down. Then he called the name of the place Tab Arah, because of the fire Jehovah had burned among them.
All right, so this is
Tav Arah.
yeah, they consume burning. Yeah. They're consuming or they're burning. That's what it means. So here's consume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consumption of burn or anger. And then yeah, so they consuming or they're burning.
Right.
That's the name of the location now.
And the mixed multitude who were in their midst lusted greatly. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, Who is giving us meat to eat?
Yeah, so lusted greatly is I put selfish desire because lusted is good, kind of, but it's kind of like when people hear the word lust, they're thinking of physical attraction towards another human being.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, it could be considered greed, it could be considered selfishness, it could be considered lust. Like all these things are the same word. It's selfish desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're being selfish. Like I know that you're like providing for us while we're out here in the desert, but like we want more.
We remember the fish which we ate without cost in Mitzrayim, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic.
Sounds good to me.
But now our being is dried up. There is naught to look at but this manna.
Like we're getting sick of manna. All we're having is manna.
Now the manna
Even though they were complaining, like you left us out here to starve to death, you left us out here to die of thirst, and now they're whining about the food that was provided for them.
Yeah. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like the appearance of bdellium. I don't know what
and
that is.
we've addressed this when we were talking about the different stones. It just means the separating, whatever that is, and it's translated as amber, and we talked about that a little bit. So yeah.
The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in the mortar, and cooked it in a pot, and made cakes of it, and its taste was as the taste of cakes baked with oil.
Okay, so this is paralleled with Exodus 15. Nope, 16. Exodus 16, it talks about the, here we go. For Jehovah hears the grumblings which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Jehovah. Okay. So this is where this same thing is paralleled in Numbers 11. It's the same incidents, but we're getting into detail now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not another detail where they started complaining again, and then he gives them meat again because it was already discussed back in Exodus chapter 16. But this one gives you more detail into the situation.
Okay. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. And Moshe heard the people weeping throughout their clans, each man at the door of his tent. And the displeasure of Jehovah burned exceedingly in the eyes of Moshe. In the eyes of Moshe, it was evil.
So these people are literally whining, like weeping, as in rolling tears.
Right? And it sounds like even Moshe's getting sick of it, right?
Yeah, he's like, these freaking complainers, man. But then instead, well, you're gonna see here in a minute,
Yeah.
but Moshe's not much better
Right.
as far as being a whiner crybaby. So,
So Moshe said to Jehovah, "Why have you done evil to your servant? And why have I not found favor in your eyes to put the burden of all these people on me?"
he's
Why am
he's like, these people are whining and complaining. Why are you doing this to me? Okay.
Yeah.
But he goes on.
Was it I who conceived all these people? Was it I who brought them forth, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as the foster father carries a nursing child to the land which you swore to their fathers? Where am I?
Like, these are not my children. Why do I have to listen to their whining?
Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat to eat. I am unable to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy for me. And if you are doing this to me, kill me, please kill me. I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my evil.
I mean, look, if you can't figure out that he's a whiner baby at this point, like, these people are crying and it's pissing me off. Just kill me already.
That's funny. Then Jehovah said to Moshe, gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of appointment, and let them stand there with you. And I shall come down and speak with you there, and shall take of the spirit that is on you, and put on them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you do not bear it yourself alone.
All right, so instead of like him saying, okay, I'll kill you, or instead of him saying, I'll just feed them. No, what he's saying is, like, you shouldn't be taking on the burden all yourself. And again, this is a repeat of something that was in Exodus, where the father-in-law says you should distribute, not only, what does this say again? 70? Was it?
70,
yes. Yeah. But the father-in-law says, like, even break it down even farther, like 10 and 5. Like, this guy's in charge of 10, this guy's in charge of 100, this guy's in charge of 1,000, and so on. So he broke it down even farther. And then it says that Yah agreed with that, like it was a good idea. And that was back in Exodus. So again, this is not a new incident. This is a further detailed account of this situation.
Mm. And say to the people, set yourselves apart for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, because you have wept in the hearing of Jehovah, saying, who is giving us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Mitzrayim, and Jehovah shall give you meat to eat, and you shall eat.
Now this is where it's going to get interesting.
You are going to eat not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a new moon of days, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes an abomination to you, because you have rejected Jehovah who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why did we come up out of Mitzrayim?
Like, oh, you want meat? Okay, you're gonna be eating meat for 30 days straight. Nothing but meat. It's gonna come out your nostrils. It's gonna make you sick. And it says abomination,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually spread out of the head. It's vomit. It'll become vomit to you.
So
Like,
eat until
it's
you
gonna be
puke?
coming out of it's gonna be coming out of every orifice.
Oh my
It's
God.
not gonna be good.
And Moshe said, The people in whose midst I am are 600,000 men on foot, and you have said, I give them meat to eat for a new moon of days. Could flocks and herds be slain for them to be sufficient for them, or could all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to be sufficient for them? And Jehovah said to Moshe, is the arm of Jehovah too short? Now see whether my word meets you or not. Dang, man.
So I stopped translating there, but we can continue. There's only like 12 verses left. But I love this story. It's like they're wanting so much. Like when I was younger and I first tried smoking a cigarette and my mom caught me. She thought that she actually didn't end up doing it because she felt bad, like she couldn't do it. But she was told that to stop somebody from smoking, like, oh, you want to smoke a cigarette? Here, smoke this one. Smoke another one.
Yeah.
Here's a whole pack. Put it in your mouth. We'll light it. That kind of thing. So this is that kind of situation where y'all's like, oh, you want meat? Okay, take meat, eat meat.
Yeah.
So it's coming out of every orifice.
Yeah. Okay. And Moshe went
24.
out, and spoke to the people the words of Jehovah, and he gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. And
Okay, so this is what I was saying. Like, there's a second incident here that I want to address, but we're gonna get into it now. Go ahead.
Okay. And Jehovah came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and placed the same upon the 70 elders. And it came to be, when the spirit rested upon them, that they prophesied, but did not continue.
Yeah, so they prophesied for their first time, but they didn't continue in the whole prophecy thing. So if you hold on there, that was verse 25. We'll go back there in a second, but I want to address something here. So these prophets had Ruach Yehovah, Spirit of Jehovah, that came upon them, and they prophesied. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just for your audience, most likely. And when the day of the festival of Shavuot had come, in King James Version it says Pentecost, they were with one mind in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven of a mighty rushing wind, and it filled the house where they were sitting, and appeared to them as divided tongues as of fire, and settled in each one of them. And they were all filled with the set apart spirit, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them to speak. Now in Jerusalem they were dwelling Yehudim, Jews, dedicated men of every nation under heaven. Okay, well, why were they all there from one nation? It's because they were there for Shavuot. That was done every year. But if you're reading King James Version, you won't get that. And when the sound came to be, the crowd came together, and they were confused because everyone heard them speaking in their own language. Okay, so they were speaking in all these different languages, and they each heard it. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to each other, look, are those who speak Galileans? And how do we hear each one in our own language in which we were born? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, Aram, Naharim, Yehuda, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Mitzrayim, and parts of Mitzrayim, that's Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Libya, Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Yehudim and the converts, Cretans, Arabs, and we hear them speaking in our own tongues the great deeds of Elohim. And they were all amazed and puzzled, saying together, what does this mean? And others mocking, saying they've been filled with the sweet wine. But Kepha, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said to him, men of Yehuda, and all those dwelling in Jerusalem, let it be known to you, and closely listen to my words. For these men are not drunk as you imagine, since it's only the third hour of the day. But this is what was spoken by the prophet Yoel, and it shall be in the last days, says Elohim, that I shall pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And also on my male servants, female servants, I will pour out my spirit on those days, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire, vapor of smoke. Fire, vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the coming and great and splendid day of Yehovah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yehovah shall be saved. Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because they think that in the New Testament, this is a brand new thing that's happened, never happened before, where a group of people got the spirit of Yah, when you can go back to Numbers 11 and see that it was done on these. Wait, am I in the wrong place here? Which
we're on
verse?
26.
25.
Yeah, 25 and 26.
Yeah.
25.
So here we are, Numbers 11:25, and the spirit came upon these 70 elders.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I like to show people that, because they think like it's only the New Testament that has the spirit. Like, that's nonsense. Utter nonsense. All right. 11:26.
All right. However, 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other was Medad, and the Spirit rested upon them. Now they were among those listed, but did not go out to the tent, and they prophesied in the camp.
And so you got to think this is 70 elders that were supposed to appear before Moshe. 2 of them didn't make it out there, but yet where they were, they got that spirit. So you don't have to go to a certain location, like a building, to get the spirit of Yah, right? You don't have to assemble at a specific building with a title to the building, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And a young man ran and informed Moshe and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Yehoshua, son of Nun, or Nun, how would you
Nun,
pronounce
yeah,
Nun?
You're right.
Moshe's assistant from his youth answered and said, Moshe, my master, forbid them.
Now, Yehoshua is later the book called Joshua, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know Joshua?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it shows right away. Yep. So Joshua 1:1, Yehoshua the son of Nun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who we're talking about here. He's the one who like takes the banner after Moshe is retired. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Then Moshe said to him, Are you jealous for my sake? Or, oh, that all the people of Yehovah were prophets, and that Yehovah would put his spirit upon them.
Okay, so this is another thing that I like to bring up as far as people that only do the New Testament. They say that, like Paul says, you know, all these gifts of the Spirit, I would have that every man prophesy. Okay, prophesy just means to speak the word of Yah, right? To be a mouthpiece of Yah. It does not mean to tell the future. It does not mean to say happy, happy, feel good words to make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
It's speaking the word of Yah. So here Moshe says, you know, Yehoshua, why are you jealous? I would have that all the people were prophets, that Jehovah would put his spirit on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Old Testament, still the same concept, for everyone to be able to be connected to Yah, so that his words come out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm. And Moshe returned to the camp, both he and the elders of Israel. And a wind went forth from Yehovah, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground.
Okay, so we're talking about quail. That's a day's journey that way, a day's journey that way, and 2 meters deep. Right? 2 meters deep is, you know,
Mm-hmm.
almost a man's height.
Right.
Right?
So it's just a pile of quail, a giant
Quail
pile.
everywhere. In other words, there's nowhere you could look where there isn't quail.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be coming out their nose, right?
Hmm. And the people were up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. He who had least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp.
10 times as much as they need, right? 10 times the portion they need.
Hmm. And the meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Jehovah burned against the people, and Jehovah struck the people with an exceeding great plague.
And of course, this can be confusing. Like, oh, he killed all the people. No, no, no. Just the ones who were like, complaining and whining and crying for meat. Remember
Hmm.
those people?
Hmm.
That's who this is about.
Then he called the name of that place Kibrot Hataawa, because there they buried the people who had lusted.
Okay, so this is the graves of the selfish desiring. The graves of the selfish desiring.
Yeah. From Kivrot Hataawa, the people set out for Hatzerot, and they were at Hatzerot.
Yep, there we go. All righty. I'll jump in the chat. That was good knocking out of those couple of chapters. They were both long, and
Mhm.
I appreciate you reading them for us, Karen. You're a champion.
Yeah, man.
All right. I mean, I've read through them a couple of times because I knew it was coming, and there's some very good nuggets there, especially for people that are like, they want to deny the Old Testament altogether, but they
Mhm.
only want to look to the New Testament. Like this chapter, it like destroys that whole philosophy that the whole spirit thing wasn't until the New Testament. Okay, so shout out to Joe Nugent, Aisling717. What's up, Cammy? Donnie Darko, Tifster. Again, Tipster, I do know who that is now because I've confirmed it. Captain Construction, TC Zamman, Jay. Let's see, Plan Dweller of Yah. That's a very cool name. Yeah, watch that be that other person I know. Green Flowers, Valley Parks, Zulu One. What's up, Zulu? James Sharp. Let's see. Rose. What's up, Rose? 717 or 777. Sorry. Joseph Osborne. Don't want to get those numbers wrong. I got Aisling 717 and Rose 777. Throwing me off there. Melissa Joe. John Keeley. Toronto Suke Edo. Let's see. Brian Stavely. What's up, Brian? No Despair Bear. And Critical Inception. And Gregory May. How y'all doing? Shabbat Shalom. And again, in 2 weeks' time, blowing of trumpets. 10 days after that, Yom HaKippurim, the day of inspection and reflection that I do fasting and I don't eat, sleep, or drink for 24 hours. That's the way I do it. That's not a requirement. That's the way I do it. And then 5 days after that is Sukkot, week-long party time and camping. And then after that week-long party time, then a couple weeks later, I go to Vegas and hang out with Karen over at Flattoberfest. So
That's
it's going to be
right.
busy, 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 and awesome in 2 weeks' time. Crazy. All right. Let's see. Karen is getting rock tumblers today.
Yeah, man. Been trying to get
We can
some
just
good
keep
rock
going, Jack on
tumblers.
the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we decided to do. We played it out.
Yep.
All right. Star David is a symbol of the heart chakra. Yeah, it has nothing to do with David, FYI. And in the time of the what do they call it? Middle age, what do they call it? Oh my gosh, knights and
Medieval times.
medieval times. Yeah. In the medieval times, it was the talisman of protection. So people who wear that and they think it's a symbol of the creator, it's not. It's definitely not. It's a hijacked symbol. All right.
Isn't the Star of Remfram?
Yes. Yes, correct. Same thing. Yep. The Bible should only be interpreted in Greek, not Hebrew, like it's reading two different scriptures. Okay. If you say so. That's an opinion of somebody who thinks that the Bible was only written in Greek.
Remfan.
Let's see.
Yeah, Star of Remfan, Remphan, in case anybody wants to search that up.
Yep.
Go down that rabbit hole.
Karen should get some kind of reward or prize for having to pronounce all these names. Here. She does a good job. I mean, I've had a decade of practice, and Karen does really well for like on the fly. She does very well.
I try.
Oy vey, you try managing millions of moaning Hebrews, lol. Yeah. I mean, I probably would be upset too, but I don't think I'd be like, please kill me because they're whining too much. Like, are you whining too? Okay. Here is a perspective. The 12 tribes were set up to point us to our 12 cranial nerves and align the 12 signs of the heavens. They were both physical and spiritual, just as today. All right. Didn't Yah pour out his spirit, that's a typo there, on those crafting the ark and the other things at the time? It said that they received a spirit of knowledge to do those things. I like to clarify that because like spirit can just mean a characteristic. It's a active unseen existence. Like that's how they are, that's what they do, that's their ruach. I mean, sometimes I'm in a ruach of anger, which is disappointing, you know, as far as the spirit of Yah is concerned. And sometimes I'm in the spirit of peace, and those two things can't coexist. So I can only be in one spirit or the other. Does that mean that spirits are jumping in and jumping out? No, that's me changing characteristic. So if I lose my temper and I'm in a spirit of anger, then I need to calm myself and get in the spirit of peace. It doesn't mean that these are different entities that jump in and out of me. Magen David, Serious Magic, yeah. Jeff Peterson, I'm here now. Shout out to Jeff Peterson. Why do you follow these instructions? I think the better question is, why don't most people follow the instructions? And I can tell you the answer of that is because when it was hijacked by the Roman Catholic Church, by Lord Constantine, they changed it to say that the law was done away with. And before that, that wasn't a thing. In fact, the early believers of the 1st through 3rd century were still doing everything that the Torah said to do. And then when Constantine came along, he started imprisoning people for Judaizing by keeping the Torah. So look at the pattern of the history and see why the law was done away with in the first place. It was just to say that I, Lord Constantine, am the law. So, alrighty. I'm done.
All right. So I guess that's it. All
Yep.
right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study. We sure appreciate you guys being here with us every Saturday. And we shall return again next Saturday with another episode for you. So have
Shabbat Shalom, the earth's still flat.
Shabbat Shalom, the earth's still flat. Have a restful day, and we shall see you all later. Peace.
Bye.